success of the inaugural 2017 Sunraysia Safari Rally, it was inevitable a bigger and better version would be planned for 2018. Almost 40 bikes and 20 autos assembled in Wentworth to size up the opposition. Amongst them, last year's auto winner John Pursehouse in his purpose-built Ford Ranger. But does that put more pressure on him to retain the title?
It does a little bit, but we fixed the engine problem, which we had last year. The car's running a lot better. We've did an event probably 2 months ago with no issues, so we're really hoping that it will follow on from there and we can have a really good run. And that will be the secret to the event, is the person who doesn't have any problems and doesn't necessarily have to be the fastest, but gets to the end.
John Hendricks came out of retirement last year to make up the numbers in his old Nissan Patrol. But this year he's back with a serious weapon.
It's a buggy, so it's a Pro-Class buggy, so it's very different. It's got a lot of power. I don't know, it's got 400 kilowatts of back wheels, they tell me. So it's very fast. It handles bumps well, and I think the trainer in here will suit it quite well. It changes direction, it goes good over sand, so it's a perfect machine. The question is reliability, because it's so highly strung. I don't know if it'll last the 2,000 Ks.
Rob Herridge was leading last year's event with the engine let go in his Subaru Forester. Now he's stepped things up a bit.
The concept was good. Subaru all-wheel drive, good handling. We've just taken that to the next level. We've built the car. It's not quite the car we want yet, but the concept is there. It's a 2-litre engine. That's a more race-oriented engine than the one we had last year. We nearly won the event. But it's light and it's fast, but it's totally untested. It's been driven from the trailer and parked there. I haven't driven it at all.
There could be a dark horse in the pack.
The last race was 2015, I think it was, at the Condo 750. And then prior to that, we'd done a couple of Australian safaris in the west. Did a lot of winch challenge stuff prior to that. So we've been racing for a while, but haven't managed to get to a heap of events. But yeah, we enjoy it, these long course ones when we get there. It's good.
In moto, last year's winner Rod Faggoter will be counting on his experience in the seat to keep him at the front of a quality field.
This is a different event. It's got its Aussie flavour, it's Aussie terrain, and some of the guys probably know the terrain around here better than I do. But I guess my experience is obviously the main thing, and we're trying to defend the title.
Factory Honda rider Jacob Smith couldn't be here last year, and he really wished he had.
I love to have been here. This is sort of my favourite style of riding, pretty much. And then seeing Rod come down and do well, so yeah, I wanted to be here for sure, but it just didn't work out. So I'm glad I made the effort to get here this year, and I'm looking forward to it.
Toby Hendricks is looking forward to it too. Last year's moto runner-up would like to go one better, but knows the competition is tough.
Having raced last year, Condo at the start of the year, a bit more experience with it, understanding of what goes on, a bit more settled this year, in saying that the field this year is tough.
There's an over 45 category at this event, and factory rider David Schwartz is starting in P3 for good reason.
The experience, 10 safaris and 3 Dakars as well, so sort of been around. And the first rally I rode was in 2000 in Alice Springs, so where we started. And yeah, had a interesting journey along the way, been all around the world, and yeah, really enjoy it.
Interestingly, there's a private battle already raging between autos and motos. Both Toby and Bo Hendricks reckon they can beat the old man, but he's not having a bar of it.
So that's right, it's on today. So I reckon I can at least last one day, so we'll see if we can do a good time.
So that battle and the main game got underway just after midday, when the 105k opening special stage kicked off just outside Mildura. John Hendricks did what he said he would do and set a cracking pace to lead the autos. Glenn Owen was second, with Jason Noonan in a third buggy holding the provisional positions. Navigation was a feature of the first stage, with several crews struggling to find their way. Amongst them front-runner Rob Herridge, who dropped out of the top order. Brett Ross eventually made the finish, but not without an extended period trying to find the correct route.
Yeah, we took a bit of a detour, yeah. Didn't realise we'd taken a detour till quite some time later, and turned around and took another detour that we shouldn't have taken, and it took a bit of assistance to get us out, but that's okay. We made it back, the car's not broken, so yeah, it's all good. Back for another crack tomorrow.
John Pershouse found his way through, but the narrow track took its toll and a flat tyre kept him out of the standings. Yamaha's Rod Faggoter was chased down early in the Moto Division by Jacob Smith on his Honda. But it was Toby Hedricks who showed them both a clean pair of heels to top the leaderboard at the end of day one. So, a Hedricks on top in Moto and Auto, but who won the private family battle?
The one person, me and the brother, didn't want him front, and that's Dad, and he's there, but we'll let him get the first one, as I did last year. But it's one of many to come.
And there are many to come. In fact, another 250 competitive kilometres coming up tomorrow. Welcome to Leg 2 from a cool and sunny Wentworth this morning. Competitors are heading out towards Pooncarie today. Unfortunately, we've had to cancel the first competitive section, Milpara, due to the drought conditions affecting some stock. So we're moving straight through to our Hazelbell section before heading out for an hour's transport up towards Pooncarie for lunch. Then we'll do a little section around Pika, which brings us back into Pooncarie, before heading home through Minda back to Wentworth this afternoon. The bikes are getting ready to leave for the start of Leg 2 now, but just before we do, a little catch up on yesterday's action. Now, John, a few people might not know that the end of the section yesterday was actually run around your property. Now, I understand, through reliable sources, that there are a couple of people that actually got lost on that section. Would you like to shed a bit more light on that?
True story. I actually got lost on my own farm. I just didn't get the call.
Why was that the case?
Well, someone had been out there clearing some land and the whole place had changed. I just couldn't read it.
So I suppose you'd say that the home ground advantage, not necessarily the case?
No, definitely. We thought we knew where we were, but we had no idea.
Well, there you have it. The bikes are leaving now, followed shortly by the cars. We're in for a big day.
I'm racing a Can-Am Max this week at Sunraysia Rally, and I'm going to give you a bit of a brief intro on how we get this thing around so quickly, hopefully. We've got shocks on the front. We've got around about 24 to 26 inches of travel in the front end there. King shocks seem to work pretty good over the standard ones. Into the cockpit area, we've got a navigator. He's new at the game, so am I. We've got this tulip screen thing there, tells us where to turn, what kilometres. We've then got some long travel suspension on the back. There's around about 28 inches of travel on the back. Again, King shocks. We've got a Rotax Sea-Doo engine in the back. It's a 3-cylinder turbocharged thing. Puts out about 172 horsepower at the crank, which means at the rear wheels it's probably about 120. We've got a couple of spare wheels in case we get some flat tyres from over exuberance on some corners and stuff. Got these long arms on the back here that handle the sideways motion so the wheels don't go out too far. Now we've got a belt drive system. It's like an automatic car. You just put your foot down, it slides into corners just nicely. Thing, as I said, is a Max. It was originally a four-seater Can-Am. We've gone that way for the length of the car, so that it's a lot better in the whoops out at Fink and Alice Springs and stuff like that. Probably the cost of the car starts at $35,000. Put the cab, seats and or the roll cage on it and seats and stuff. Probably ended up costing me around about 55 grand. Pretty cheap to come and do this sort of thing. over about 145 kilometres flat chat, and yeah, bloody hell of a lot of fun, I tell you.
The morning didn't start well for Richard McNay and Aaron Blacksell when the clutch in their Commodore Ute let go before competition even began.
Right, it's going to get you, cunt! Get the road right.
Lots of hydraulics to the clutch, so it just goes. The pedal just goes to the floor. Drive is okay. It's driving, so clutch is okay. But yeah, I mean, we could probably use a starter to get off the start line and keep going, but we'll try something.
That's what we'll try.
Yeah.
Give it a go, eh? If you drive without a clutch, well, we'll drive without a clutch. Yeah. It's a navigator's fault.
It's not a luxury.
It's always a navigator's fault.
A rare misjudgment by John Hendricks saw him slip down the placings after clipping a post with a Jimco buggy.
I clipped a gate post, so it wasn't a big hit, it was just a clip when I went through. It was enough to break the steering bolt. So it went on lock and broke the disc and caliper. But yeah, we got going again, whacked the bolt in, continue on.
That handed the lead to Glenn Owen.
Yeah, it will give us an early lead, but yeah, still a long way to go. We're 2 stages in.
But fastest stage time went to Michael Benham in the Mickle Fab Trophy truck.
The truck suited that stage nice. Nice flowy hills, so that was good. You know, once you get the nose up on the truck, it sort of continues to float along. It's great.
Michael Sawyer's day in the Datsun P510 was better than yesterday's, after punting a slower competitor in the dust and coming off second best. Remarkably, the old Datto brought the brothers home 20th outright through Hazeldale.
We were caught behind and I ended up getting frustrated and gave them a bit of a bang, but we came off second best. Unfortunately, it pushed the front of the car in and then knocked the distributor cap off, which that spoiled that, and then we ran out of petrol anyway.
Rob Herridge was another trying to make amends for a lacklustre performance in the opening stage.
Yeah, better start than yesterday. Yesterday started pretty good. It was the debut of the new XV and we were very nervous and very excited. And first 80 of the 105 Ks, it was having a dream run.
Toby Hedricks was leading the moto division from the front, quickest through the morning stage in what is becoming a dominant four.
The first day of the stage was cancelled, so that left us with 3 stages, all of about 60-70 Ks long. They've all been very fast and flowing. The first 2 were quite easy to navigate. This last one had a few tricky ones, you had to be under your notes, but happy and all, got through it. Fair bit of life animals out there, so that keeps you on your toes as well.
But Jacob Smith had the Honda home hot on his heels.
It was another fast stage. Navigation was a little bit more tricky, but yeah, no, it was all went to plan.
He was also fastest through the first afternoon stage. Dave Jeeves had his wings clipped early on his Yamaha 450 when the fuel pump played up in Hazeldale. 60 kilometres at 60 kilometres per hour means plenty of catch-up in the afternoon. Nick Forsyth was checked over by the medics after an off early in the afternoon stages. By the end of Minda, Rod Faggoter was quickest outright, beating all bikes and autos. Glenn Owen wasn't setting any records, but a clean run through the 2 stages of 130 kilometres has him leading the auto division from John Pursehouse, who's charging back through the field. Michael Denham was third for the day after a strong, consistent performance. Rob Herridge's day got worse in the Subaru when he and Sam Hill had a close encounter with the Flora, but the pair showed good speed in the final stage and finished the leg in 4th.
Well, yesterday didn't suit us, and today was suiting us a bit more, so we had a bit more of a go today. And in the tight, twisty trees, I zigged when I should have zagged.
At the end of day 2, Rod Faggoter was quickest motor, from a hard-charging Jacob Smith, with Toby Hendricks in third. So for what it's worth, there's still a Hendricks on top after the 2 days on the road, but now it's a bike in the hands of Toby. But with 3 more days of competition, anything can still happen. There were several crews working well into the night last night in preparation for this morning's stages, while others took advantage of the casual, relaxed atmosphere. Good morning from a very cool and crisp Wentworth this morning, and a kia ora to our Kiwi friends. We thought you might be interested in a little bit of footage that our ace photographer John Douch captured yesterday of your compatriot Tony Rutter. So it's safe to say that Tony's had a pretty good taste of the Australian outback, quite literally. And there'll be plenty more action today as competitors embark on 3 of the longest sections of the event. Unfortunately, we did have a 4th planned, but due to the extreme drought conditions in the region, we've decided to cancel that. Competitors will now start just east of Wentworth, over on Ballar, before making their way back through Wentworth and up for a bit of a treat at lunchtime, where the Anna Branch Hall CWA ladies are putting on a fantastic spread for lunch. After that, we've got a little bit of ground to cover to get us over to a loop around the Trelega and Walkaroo properties, before coming back over to what might be the highlight stage of the event, running through Nindathana and back down towards Wentworth. The Nindathana stage has a series of natural sand dunes, which will be a real highlight for competitors. It's real Dakar rally sort of stuff. Now, before we leave you, a little highlight from yesterday. This is what happens when you've got no clutch in your Commodore and you need to open a yellow gate.
Careful, mate, careful.
Basically, this is our Bible. It tells us where to go. It's got all our instructions on it. So at night we sit down and highlight what we think is important. Some of the triple dangers are generally pretty important, and you know, where all your turns off, turn left, turn right. This is what Rally Nav's all about. Really, it tells you where to go. Without this, you get lost.
It's obviously a different dimension, though. It's the physical side, which is the riding, is the mental side. You've got to concentrate, because without that, the physical side's worth nothing, is it?
No, that's right. You can be as fit as anything and have a really fast bike, but if you go in the wrong direction, it doesn't matter. So yeah, you always got to concentrate, and it's quite fatiguing too, you know, like concentrating that hard all the time and making sure you're not getting lost. It's good fun, but that's why we're here.
The third day of the Sunraysia Safari was about the 3 N's: navigation, navigation and navigation. After an official warning about cutting corners, the motos headed out.
So just be mindful, the blokes that accidentally
maybe used a bit of a shortcut on Tuesday. Make sure you use the real track today.
But early on, the importance of navigation was highlighted as the bike started to circle. Even the front runners were catching each other, and it was Jacob Smith who made the most of it, being the quickest of the motos by 5 seconds over Rod Faggoter. However, it wasn't just navigation that caused issues. Event leader Toby Hedrick slipped down the leaderboard after an off.
Come off in some dust. It was caught in a bit of a dust patch and backed off, rolled into it. I was going about 60 or 70 k an hour, and then so I just sort of locked it up and came off. Nothing too serious. Certainly risked that sore knee of mine a bit. But yeah, I've damaged the Mac roller and ended up later in the stage stalling the bike and it wouldn't start for me. And I found a broken wire and twitched that back together and got back in, but bummer.
Back at base, it was almost becoming comical. Officials were able to see exactly where competitors were making their mistakes.
Please don't turn right. Oh, he's turning right. Oh dear.
Okay, tell him to stop.
Yeah, I sent him a text message to say, comes up on the screen saying stop, you are lost. So once he's stopped, we'll send him another one, tell him which way to go.
Eventually, there were no regular breaks between many of the competitors. No such dramas for Glenn Owen, although a slowdown moment to confirm the right direction was a good investment. House kept Owen honest though, chasing the buggy down during tighter sections and taking an advantage from seeing the leading dust trail.
Sort of it was a bit tricky navigation, but we got through and we caught Glenn Owens and we were in his dust and trying to get past him, and then it opened up and he took off again and ended up pulling away from us. Good open country, we wind her up again and go for it, up the boost and away we go.
John Hendricks was fastest in the morning stage, with Jason Noonan the next quickest auto. Greg Scanlon's rally has been plagued with niggling mechanical issues. Engine belts on day one slipped him down the order. Then an electrical issue yesterday slowed the V8 powered Nissan by 2 cylinders. Overnight they replaced all the electrics, but they're still not back up to full horsepower.
That intermittent miss is still there, so we're down 2 cylinders. We've done everything electrical that we can do, so there's nothing more we can do to the servo. We're just running down on power, especially in the sandy stuff. It's really holding us back. Tonight we'll go internal into the motor, simple stuff like pulling rocker covers off, see if we've broken valve springs or something like that. So at this point we're still bluffed.
Again this morning the Mickelfab trophy truck was flying. Driver Michael Denham loving the open longer passages. Lunch at the Anna Branch Hall highlighted the barren nature of this land. But after a hard day at the office, coming home to family is super special.
You get a bit of a boost when you see them, and yeah, you know you've made another stage, you got to do it again. They love seeing you race, and yeah, they love it. Yeah.
With the afternoon stages totalling 200 kilometres, no one was disappointed with the day's ride. Rod Faggoter won the day yesterday and was hounded by Jacob Smith all day today. The Honda rider with the upper hand by the end. Toby Hedricks, on the other hand, was philosophical about his off earlier in the morning and his mechanical issues.
I've still lost a lot of time here. To make that back on the track is just not going to happen. So at the moment I'm just sort of in damage control a bit and just take it as it comes and keep poking along. And the way I look at it, I've had my mishap. Hopefully they're going to have one as well.
Glenn Owen dominated the afternoon stages to come home 6 minutes clear of the rest of the field. John Pursehouse was 6 minutes behind in open conditions that really favoured the buggies. Tomorrow, both men will need to watch Michael Denham closely as he's on fire in the big blue trophy truck. Good morning and welcome to League 4 of the Sunraysia Safari. Another cool, crisp, clear winter's morning in Wentworth. The longest day today. Unfortunately, we've also lost the first stage again this morning as a result of stock being impacted in the drought. So we've got a bit of a hike this morning. We're going to have to travel right the way up to east of Pooncarie, right out to the start of our Mullaroola section. And this section is probably one of the most iconic from last year's event. We've done a bit of tweaking, the same property, the same stunning terrain, but the competitor will be facing all new roads. From there we have a beautiful lunch up at the Spring Hill station before sneaking back through Wilcurra, quick top up with fuel over in Pooncarie, and a little dash through Tarcoola on the way back down to Wentworth. In this year's event we've been joined by several of our off-road racing cousins racing in this event for the first time. Off-road racing, of course, is synonymous with big air and buggies and large jumps. We'd expect to see that from those kind of vehicles. What we don't expect is to see it from a Commodore.
480. Turn hard right at the tail yard. You right? 480. Turn hard right at the tail yards. I missed that reset. Oh, you're okay.
What it takes to ride a two-wheeler, it's double to ride one of these. Just physically demanding, because you've got that motion and you also got that motion, and then you've got corner to corner. So when you're on it, you really got to be manhandling it.
Some people say that dreams are the fools, but I know there's one dream left.
The setups we got are the best we can get, but terrain out here is so unpredictable. The back end can swap out on you, and it's very similar to a buggy, but with a live axle. It's a straight axle. So yeah, you've got that motion in the front going on, and you've got a live axle in the rear driving you. Yeah, it's pretty gnarly. It's a little bit disappointing because this is so open and wide open out here. It signs off at about 135 kilometres an hour. I love it. I ride two-wheelers too, but just with this sort of stuff, I just love the challenge of hanging onto one of these. But all in all, it's been good. I qualified up in 15th out of 38 amongst the bikes, and then just the bikes are too quick on the open straight. They just round me up, and apparently they're doing up to 170 k's an hour, whereas this poor little thing's only pushing 135. So yeah, but no, look, it's great fun. Hopefully next year we get a bigger class. I've been putting out to a few mates and that to come on, let's get this class up and running so we can. It's good for the Safari Rally, and hopefully next year we'll have between 5 to 10 in the class. So it should be good.
Strong winds howled across the plains northeast of Pooncarie today, and competitors were up against a new challenge. The gusts on the opening stage, stretching for 127 kilometres across Mullaroola, whipped up the dry sand, creating near whiteout conditions. Smith might have started first, but defending champ Rod Faggoter was ready to pounce at any chance. And if navigating yesterday was difficult, then adding some wind just made that job a lot harder. Wind was not Glenn Owen's issue, sidelined within 10 kilometres of the start with terminal engine issues. That left John Pursouse to defend his title, paving the way with the autos, and it was challenging in the worsening conditions. John Hendricks was back in the hunt, but without the aid of a windscreen, his buggy was slowed to what seemed like walking pace in the diminished visibility. Michael Denham, on the other hand, charged on, eventually rounding up the lead cars, and in the ensuing confusion with dust and direction, found himself first for lunch. His brother Warren in the V6 Triton, accidentally or perhaps strategically, pulled over to let Jason Noonan past, and promptly turned right back onto the track, leaving the open wheel and open air buggy in their dust for just a bit longer.
Where I stopped, just coincidentally, solely coincidentally, was right at the turn right. and Jason went roaring past, and then Todd said, turn right, so I turned right, and down we went, and then took him a little while to catch us back up again. And he was just telling me while we were having lunch that he was lucky that he saw our dust, or he never would have found his way to the lunch stop.
I think he just pulled over to watch us get off, so we did see him take off in the right direction, so we followed him and just hung on him for a bit. We took ages to get past and stuff, so bad.
Despite the dust, Noonan was still the quickest auto. Lunch at Spring Hill Station was just as everyone remembered last year. Great food prepared by the amazing local community, who despite the desperate times on the land right now, are philosophical and upbeat about life. And let's not forget their kids, who were waiting patiently for the cars, bikes and the chopper for 12 months. Thumbs down for Greg Scanlon's ARB truck. The chances of continuing past lunch not looking good.
When we got right up in the rev range, it felt like we had a little bit, but then it got progressively worse as we went through the stage. The conditions on the stage got a little bit hectic there for a while too. We had almost a complete whiteout with dust, which didn't help our enthusiasm factor at that point in time. But in terms of our car, look, we're about 5 minutes away from making a call.
At 80 kilometres, the second stage of the day was a little shorter, but just as challenging. Wilkara's landscape is similar, and the challenges of the elements continued. More trees did provide cover and less effect from the wind. It was Yamaha 1, Honda 1 after 2 stages, with Jacob Smith grabbing the win in Wilkara. But the lad from Alice Springs was starting to make an appearance on the leaderboard, and Luke Hayes broke through for the final stage win of the day.
Starting to wrap my head around this navigational stuff, this being my first navigational rally, but yeah, I can't ask for much more, being able to rub shoulders with the likes of Rod and Jacob. They're really talented guys and a lot of experience, so it feels good to be in the mix. Yeah, I don't come bring a great experience here to the rally, but with a bit of think knowledge and stuff like that, I think we sort of get used to riding at high speed through the desert. The country down here is much the same with the beautiful red sand dunes and spin effects, so in a sense I feel at home here out in the desert, but it's definitely a completely different ball game to race through it for sure.
Of equal importance for the top order was the fact that Smith needed help to get home.
Yeah, he's ran into a bit of strife, probably about 50k from home, so we've done the right thing, towed him in.
Yeah, I rode a few beers, mate. He towed me in there at the end, so I got lucky, to be honest, very lucky. So I had a bit of a malfunction, I guess. I'm not too sure what it is at the moment, but yeah, very lucky that I got through the day's racing and Rod towed me in.
Back in the auto division, John Pershouse's outright lead was short-lived when a bolt in his trailing arm broke.
As I said at the start of the rally, it's perseverance and just keep going, because a lot of people drop out. I thought, yes, this is fine. Then the next stage, the problem fell on us. We've gone from first outright to quite a way down the field now.
After an amazing third fastest through the opening stage, Phil Lovett went on to spend enough time driving around Wilkara Station to know every inch of the property. That leaves the battle between Michael Denham in the Mickelcraft Trophy truck and John Hedrick, who's making a powerful comeback. Mind you, the heads are coming off his V6 engine with a suspected blown head gasket. It will be a long night for some.
It's far from over. We've still got a fair bit of racing to go, so need to make sure I stay switched on and really concentrate today. It's probably the most important day, I guess, so looking forward to a putt. Should be a good day.
A fantastic gesture of sportsmanship from Rod Faggoter there. As we see, Jake was actually able to restart this morning, but as he mentioned, it's not all over yet. He's going to have to work pretty hard to stay in front of the field. Good morning and welcome from an overcast and slightly damp Wentworth this morning for the final leg of the Sunraysia Safari Rally for 2018. It's a bit of a sting in the tail today. The competitors aren't going to have it too easy as we make our way up to the Anna Branch and then back down to the finish at Wentworth. We start this morning to the west of Wentworth, making our way through the Warrenanga stage, which is about 100 kilometres in length, before sneaking back for a quick refuel, a quick lap around then the Coleraine stage, which brings us back to that sensational lunch at the Anna Branch Hall where the CWA ladies have put on an amazing spread. Last opportunity to gather, refuel and get set before we then make our way up to the top of the final stage, which is a real sting in the tail, Bunurungi. 76 Ks of rough, tough, fast and flowing. Anyone that gets to the finish today will have certainly earned it. Once we get to the finish of that stage, we then move back through to Wentworth to our finishing location, right at the junction of the iconic Murray and Darling rivers. Another fantastic gesture of sportsmanship yesterday with Jason Noonan towing in John Hedricks to the last stage of the day. Unfortunately, the news out of John's camp is not so good this morning. They're unable to fix the engine in the buggy and they're out of the event. But for everyone else, it's the final push to the finish.
Light the beacons, light them high. Tell the world that she's mine. Light the beacons, fan the fire. Celebrate, I'm so alive.
In the bulletin last night, it must have said that we needed to be at 3.9 Ks was the start, and I have a road book set at 0, so nothing was right out the gate. So I figured, because we've got 3 scrolls today, I figured I'd pick up the wrong one. So I'm thinking, I've just got to follow. I've raced Baja about 4 times. The thing about it was I just couldn't afford it. So to New Zealand, this is the nearest navigational rally.
Light the beacons, light the
I can't believe how big some of those paddocks are. The paddocks are big in New Zealand. We're skirting around the edges of them. You spend at least 10 minutes just flat out around the edge of a paddock. The goal for me is to get to the finish line. I just can't believe how much fun it is. If I do get to the end, I'll be negotiating with the chief. Maybe next year.
Wasted little time out on the first 2 special stages this morning, taking every advantage he could to stay in front.
I feel like I've done the right things, navigated well and put the bike in the right spot and put myself in the right spot all week.
Luke Hayes started the morning 30 seconds behind Bo Hedricks, but he closed the gap to Mike 40, finishing right behind him on the opening stage. So late claim for third outright.
First stage was really good. A bit of rain last night, so there was a bit of moisture in the sand, made it really fun to ride. Nice and fast and free-flowing sort of terrain, and just having a ball and trying to make up a bit of ground.
I caught up to Jacob this morning and got stuck in his dust, and then Luke caught me during that. So then same again in that second one. Caught up to Jacob and Luke caught me, and then we ended up having a bit of a fight there, passing each other back and forth.
Whatever the main event outcome, the Hedricks family battle looked sure to fall in his favour.
Yeah, probably won't beat the boys in front of me, but I reckon with Dad and Toby I've got them, so that'll be a good talking point.
Michael Denham streaked across the new 100-kilometre Warrenanga stage, first home but not fastest. That honour to John Purshouse.
The bolt broke from the trailing arm. The axle moved back and damaged the canister on the shock, and it's been leaking, so it's not actually working. It's just every time you do a left-hand corner, the back right drops down feels like it's dropping into a hole, but no, we still did fastest time last stage, so that's right.
Starting fifth outright, the South African Ranger pilot was chasing down fellow Western Australian Rob Herridge to secure a better finishing position. Separating him on the road was Phil Lovett in the stretched buggy, but a flat tyre and several closed gates today would prove the difference.
Well, they are a feature of today. There was about 6 in the first stage, and my co-driver Sam is the world's worst gate opener. But having said that, we caught the buggy at one of the gates, and he pulled up, and we pulled up behind him, but he pulled up too close, and we couldn't get the gate open, so he had to back up, we had to back up. It was a comedy of errors.
Well, I misjudged. I parked a little too close to the gate, and he's got to drive it through for me. Well, I get out and open it, and I couldn't open it because we were too close, and I couldn't get him to put it into reverse. And
Warren Denham helped their cause when he parked the Triton up in the middle of the first stage. The Subaru pilot was now in striking distance of the podium. Hursthouse could also sniff the same spot, and the Subaru seemed a manageable target. But Herridge wasn't having a bar of it, pushing the Subaru to the limits.
Once you drop back into the field, it's very difficult to claw your way up because you're pretty well stuck at their speed, and sometimes you're struggling to match their speed. It's certainly hard to make an impression, enough of an impression to get past in the dust. So we fell back a few days ago, but we're back up a bit now.
Just one stage stood between the Honda and victory, but this rally has thrown everything at competitors. And despite the drought conditions, the motos got rain in the final stages of the event. Smith hung on for the win.
The rain come in over there and made it a little bit more tricky, but happy to make it to the end. I didn't go crazy today. I just did what I had to do, and pretty happy to take the win.
The defending champ was magnanimous in defeat about the gesture to help his opponent.
That's how it is in rally, like someone else would have paid him in, or he could have got in somewhere else, so I might as well throw him in. Get him back early for a cover. Now he owes me a beer.
A well-deserved third from late-charging Luke Hayes, despite a moment in the last stage.
Had a big cartwheel through a fence, just came out of nowhere. It was sort of like at the top of the hill there was a paddock corner, and just I was a little bit off with my ISO. Came in a bit too hot and just straight through it and over the bars.
Bo Hedrick settled for fourth, but collected the family trophy.
I think so. Haven't seen Toby come in yet, so it's been good.
Our lone Kiwi was ecstatic to complete his first safari.
I don't know if it's the sugar at lunchtime or the Nurofen.
Well done.
Oh, mate, well done. My brain was so giddy. I'm glad it's over.
Had a good time?
Oh, mate, it was absolutely fantastic.
Nothing much changed to the autos. The battle for third went to Rob Herridge, a worthy comeback from his early issues that looked likely to keep him off the podium.
Well, Hursthouse has been going like a jet all day, and we've been knocking our car around trying to match him or stay close. But we had the misfortune of catching the Jimco buggy struggling along, and in his dust, for kilometre after kilometre, eventually we made a mistake through impatience and clouded a big hole and did a lot of damage to our car. I'm sure I've bent the arm and clapped the suspension, but hopefully we've done enough to stay in front of Hursthouse.
Jason Noonan settled for a credible second in the naturally aspirated Jimco buggy with some consistent driving. Michael Denham holding on to his lead from yesterday to win in the big trophy truck. Well, that's it for the Sunraysia Safari Rally for 2018. Just the formality tonight in Wentworth, home of these two mighty rivers, the Murray and the Darling, and now home to an event destined to become a permanent fixture on the Australian motorsport calendar. See you all again next year.